Up in the ring, Boyd Pierce is ready to introduce this event, so let's pick up Boyd Pierce.
This event, 2 out of 3 falls with a 45-minute time limit. In the blue corner, Johnny Valentine proudly presents 240 pounds from Seattle, Washington, his highly ranked brother, Greg Valentine. And across the ring, 270 pounds, Playboy Gary Hart presents from Yokohama, Japan, Ichiban. Your referee, Bronco Lubitsch.
So sit in with us on this first link-up between Greg Valentine and his brother John. Greg Valentine, who is rated in the top 10 by most of the experts in the nation, and a man who not only looks like the twin brother of John Valentine, but wrestles in many respects like him. Greg is tough, he is rough, he is not inclined to treat his opponents with any degree of sympathy, and he gets out there with one desire in mind, and that is to clobber them and win. He doesn't care whether people cheer for him or not, he wants them to respect him, which is exactly the attitude that his brother John maintained through all of his career. But here, Ichiban, led by Gary Hart, and you can bet that everything that happens between Greg Valentine and Ichiban is going to get a wild burst of enthusiastic support from these fans here at the Sam Houston Coliseum. Ichiban, tough customer. There are fans who say that he is no more Japanese than I am and that they think they know who he is. And they have called him a number of names. Somebody's got to be wrong and somebody's got to be right. But Gary Hart has used his influence here to convince people that he is indeed what he claims to be, Ichiban, which means number one. So Greg Valentine, Greg, G-R-E-G, has bust loose here with the sort of punishment that people want to see him lay in there, and in this case he has laid that boot to the man with the mask. Referee Bronco Lubitsch trying to maneuver Greg Valentine back, and if Greg is as hard as his brother John to handle in that ring, it's a tough job for a referee too, because John was always the bane of the referee's existence because he loved to lean his weight on them and make them work. So Ichiban got a few choice words from Gary Hart. And you see him here now laying that hard driving kick where it can be effective, where it can hurt. And here on the concrete, right alongside of us, Greg Valentine. And now, Ichiban, and the action transfers itself into the ringside, and the apron of the ring becomes a weapon for both men. And he retaliated with a well-timed wallop into that ring apron. And here's Ichiban halfway up the aisle here in this crowded ringside at the Sam Houston Coliseum. So Ichiban got back before the count of 20, and so did Greg. That brain-busting elbow is a direct result of the influence of John Valentine. There are a lot of people who have copied it. There are a few who do it extremely well. Greg is a man who does. So Greg plants his weight where it will do some good. He goes for the pin. There's one. He got about a 2 count that time, but it was purely academic because it doesn't count until the hand comes down for the 3rd time. Ichiban using what amounts to a claw hold on that knee of Greg Valentine, but oh, he just bulldogged him that time. He bounced him right smack into his knee instead of putting his knee into the head. Greg trying to set him up. Caught him. A great smash. That one was with a leg, and that leg came smashing across his throat and chest and head. There's one. There's two. You saw it snake up there. That knee can be mighty hard when it hits you on top of the head. Greg Valentine, body slam. And he measures Ichiban for the guillotine drop. That feels like it's going to cut your head right off. And he follows up with the reverse chin lock that is well applied, and another Valentine trademark. 5 minutes have gone by. Time limit on this match, 45 minutes. And the effort by Greg Valentine continues as he maneuvers to hold him, but you saw that hand come up there, and it was looking for the part of the body where you can't grow muscles in the eyes, and he's ripped across there solidly. John Valentine has been sitting over there intently staring at his brother Greg, almost as though he was seeing himself in action in that ring. And a lot of people who know John Valentine's style well will feel the same way. Because John took a lot of punishment, but that kick in the throat, you saw that toe go in there, and there again, he gets in to punish him with the toe and in the throat, and Gary Hart popping up there to talk to referee Bronco Lubitsch, and he accomplished his purpose because he distracted Lubitsch at a time when Ichiban was able to make good use of the time. So Greg's in trouble, and this is the first time he's really been in trouble in this match, and Ichiban trying to set him up. Set him up he did, and this could be it. Here he goes for the pin. There's one, there's two. He got the two, but that was all. And the Oriental in there for the grip on the trapezius muscles, the pouring down of all the effort, and fans screaming for Greg Valentine. You see them in the background as they start that staccato beat, that clapping. So Greg Valentine is down. The effort at what could be a sleep hold, because that grip on the side of the neck is after the carotid artery, and this could be it. Here is Ichiban looking for the pin, and Greg Valentine just barely getting that shoulder up. The fans screaming now for Greg Valentine to get up, to keep going. The noise increases as they see him affected by the shouting. And even though Ichiban is hanging on, Greg Valentine is well, there it is taking effect again, but he has gotten up, and this is a great accomplishment in view of the fact that he was almost the victim of a sleep hold, driving into the unprotected ribs, and that one found its mark for sure. So Greg trying to get that blood flowing to the brain again, and maneuvering to step in and accomplish more punishment on the masked man than he caught from him. And here is Ichiban on the outside and sprawling all over us as we try to make ourselves small here to escape it. And Greg follows him to the opposite side of the ring and right smack into the empty chair where a few moments ago a policeman was sitting. J.C. Bankston, lucky he wasn't in the chair. And here again, right in front of Gary Hart, literally deposited him at the feet of Gary Hart. And we've got Greg Valentine smashed into the ring post. The count continues. Greg is on the floor. And there it is. The first fall goes to Ichiban as Greg Valentine, who spent most of that 20 count on the outside of the ring. He spent most of that 20 count on the outside of the ring, punishing Ichiban, and then was slammed into that turnbuckle, or the ring post rather, and before he had a time to recover and rise, he had been counted out. He didn't really get a count of 20 outside the ring because of the punishment he had absorbed, but because he was dishing out punishment during most of it. So one fall in favor of Hart and Ichiban, and we'll be back here in a moment with the second fall of this match.
Second fall.
Well, most of the intermission period, Greg Valentine spent getting that left arm of his in shape, that one that was slammed into the ring post, and now we have Ichiban going after that same arm, hoping that he's going to be able to do something with it. Not only that, but he is starting up the aisle into the retaining wall back by the box seats, and that aisle cleared in a hurry, but here comes Ichiban back to the ring, and Greg Valentine's getting a count, but here he comes. And this time, Greg Valentine is waiting for him, and a pitched battle begins outside. The ring post, that time again, the weapon of Ichiban. And here comes Greg Valentine stepping right into a hornet's nest again as he is absorbing a lot of tough punishment from Ichiban. Double wrist lock up into a hammerlock to expose the ribs of Greg Valentine, and he's working on that arm to try to force a fall out of Greg Valentine. Crotch lift and a backbreaker. And now as Greg comes to life and recognizes the opportunity, he starts to set Ichiban up, and he drove it in there. Beautiful wallop for Greg Valentine as he drives in to chop his head off. Oh, a solid smash. He looks around at those fans, and they give him that one more business, and he comes up to give him exactly that. So Ichiban caught, lifted, and dropped. Oh, man, he dropped him hard and solidly, and Greg Valentine looks for an opportunity to pounce on him, and pounce on him he does. Man on top, Greg Valentine. There it is. The second fall goes to Greg Valentine, who lost the first fall. So Greg Valentine lost the first fall when he was smashed into the ring post on the outside of the ring and was counted out. He suffered during the first minute and a half of this fall with the arm that had been banged into that ring post, and then he suddenly found the arm working better, and like a windmill he went after Ichiban and managed to pin him for this second fall. So the only pinfall so far in this match has been scored by Greg Valentine, and the work of Gary Hart right now is seeking to minimize some of the effects. We'll be back here in a moment. Right now, let's pause for this word from the studio. 30 seconds still to go in the intermission period as Ichiban picks up one of the wooden gaiters that he has in the corner, and he has wrapped his hand around it. We can see it from our side. The bell has not yet sounded, but Greg Valentine's in trouble. Gary Hart trying to distract the referee, and here comes punishment for Valentine that he could have escaped. He was clobbered over the head with that wooden shoe, or the wooden sandal, or whatever you want to call it. But Valentine now has reacted like a Valentine from the punishment. He is shaking it loose and blasting at Ichiban. And he is not shaking the punishment off as easily as Greg Valentine was able to do. Bracho, lift, and slam, and that is right on the concrete. And there he goes, right here alongside of us, and that concrete didn't give an inch. He splashed his weight all over him. He dropped his elbow in there and let him have it. And here is Ichiban with one of John Valentine's crutches. And that bounced back and hit him in the head. And notice Greg Valentine standing on that as Ichiban started to get it. And here we have a Valentine with a crutch. And he laid it in there. And Greg Valentine here is about to bend Johnny's crutch around the head of Ichiban. And I'm afraid that Greg Valentine is going to suffer punishment from this as he again smashes that weapon across the back and across the neck of Ichiban. And this crowd here roars its approval. Out on the floor, we've got Ichiban, and the referee is indicating that the use of the crutch. He has awarded the match to Ichiban, the fall to Ichiban, because Greg Valentine refused to listen to him and refused to stop using the crutch. And Gary Hart is trying to take Ichiban up. But here out in the audience now, we've got Greg Valentine moving around there on that opposite side, crutch in hand. And Valentine lays him into that table. A wild uproar here at the Sam Houston Coliseum as Greg Valentine follows the retreating Gary Hart and Ichiban up the aisle in the direction of the dressing room. And the crowd here on its feet roaring their approval.